Hey everybody, Igor here, and I want to welcome you to the next step on your journey to a better life. As per our tradition, guys, let's start with remembering what have we learned during the last step, because it was very important, and we're still working on that thing of how to create this self-selected group, meaning how to put those trench mates around us in order to win those battles of our life, in order to get to the result. And result is our dream life we have all created the blueprint of for ourselves. So we have learned last time that there is such a thing as self-selected group, and we also learned that basically the whole world is divided in those self-selected group, the group of people with who share similar ideology, similar rules, values, ambitions, results, habits, rituals, and all other things they might share in order to be on the same page with each other. We also have figured out that some of those groups and being part of that group actually determines the success of our life. That's why we learned it is important not only be a part of the current group, but be able to kind of evaluate it, to put some kind of criteria we can take a look at, and then decide we will want to stay with that group or we need to move forward and we need to join some other groups. At the same time, we have also discovered we can create our own group. And it all starts with our very tight social circle, like our family, our friends, and the people which are very close to us, right? We also have learned that there is some two little obstacles which we know how to handle, but still we have to understand and remember they are out there. Those are our fears and this convenience bias, which led us to stay in the group which might pull us down. But we also have learned how to actually overcome that and get in the group which will pull us up, right? How great is that? On top of all of that, in the step before previous, we have learned how to read people. We have learned how to actually read ourselves and understand ourselves better. We've learned how to be in that environment and adapt to that environment by understanding and reading those different personality types of people. And we learned how to connect to people on the very deep level, didn't we? Yes, we did. And by the way, I also asked you to go through this homework and start with your self-selected groups and see what kind of self-selected groups you can find around yourself, put the criteria for them, criteria of your ideal group, and then kind of match them up and see whether you want to rejoin some other groups, join some new ones, or create your own, right? Beautiful. Now, today, we're gonna, take a step forward, and we're gonna take this third step in this trilogy of 3 different steps we took in order for us to understand the importance of a team and learn how to build truly strong team around ourselves, because we know nothing of huge significance has been built in the world without the team. It took a team, right? And I'm kind of pounding the topic on the table all the time. I just want to make sure, guys, you truly believe it, you put it into your subconscious mind, and that mind now know that and kind of lead you and help you to go through the journey to a better life with that understanding. Okay? All right. Today we're going to take this, the last step in between those 3, right? We are not taking the last step in overall course. We still have a lot of step in front of us, guys. Okay? And I call this step the 5 major qualities to look for when building a team, and the 2 ways of how to determine and actually recognize those qualities in that team. And today's topic, by the way, and today's step might seem a little bit boring to you guys, because it's going to have a lot of structure, a lot of different descriptions, but nothing of significance, nothing of important is not boring, right? Some cases, some parts of that theory or of the practical exercises we sometimes go through, they seem bored, but at the same time they are super important, and they might be the cornerstone of our success, of our turn to success or towards miserable life, right? So we're gonna respect that, and we're gonna go with that. So bear with me, guys. We're gonna be learning truly important things today. And as I said, I'm going to be going and sharing with you those 5 major qualities. And those qualities are not coming from me. I learned those qualities. I learned those things, what other people do, what other successful people do. The people who actually run so many different companies. People like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. Tony Robbins, like him alone, I think he has 48 different businesses or so, right? Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett, they have so many businesses they invest in. And you would probably ask, why is that important, Igor? It's important because these people, they not only invest in companies, but they invest in companies they truly believe in. In other words, what is the company? The company is a group of people, right? They truly believe in those people. They made their selection, and based on their huge success and recognition in life, I think we can trust them, and we can kind of borrow those golden nuggets, the little secrets, what they know, in order for us to succeed in life. And I have done just that. I have compiled their knowledge in this field of creating the teams around themselves, because they've created one of the most successful teams out there. And now I want to, present it to you. Those 5 different qualities those guys, those most successful people in the world actually look for when they are building the teams. Obviously, there are a lot of more different qualities and specifics to their business, which they might also look at, but in majority cases, all of them use these 5, which I will be presenting to you today. And then in second part of this step, we're going to be going through 2 different ways of how those same people actually determine and recognize those qualities in people. How do they actually look for those people and make sure they find them, and then they join them into their teams, whether it's business team, family team, friends team, and so on and so on and so on. They know how to create this self-selected bubble. And the third part of this step, I will go with you with the 3 different, and I will introduce to you these 3 different ways of how those same people, make the whole process easier, and what kind of other hints and tricks and these golden nuggets and secrets they use in order to create the truly strongest and most successful teams out there. And again, I'm not talking about only the business teams, but I'm talking about teams of their families, teams of your friends, teams of your community, teams in your business as well. Okay, so we have a lot of stuff to cover today, and as I already kind of listed 3 different parts of this step, they are super important, and with them we will conclude this journey on the way how to build the best teams out there around ourselves and makes ourselves stronger and accelerate our success. Okay, all right, let's start with the first part of this step. And the first part is I will be introducing you to those 5 major qualities we have to look for while we're building the team, or we look for in people we connecting with in people we want to invite into our self-selected group. Okay, let's just dive into it, and let's go one by one, and I'm going to explain you what are they and how are they important. So first quality you should look for is energy. Guys, energy. You want to have energetic people in your team, period. Why energy is that important? Well, if you remember, we went through one of our steps where we were discussing about the emotional state. And remember, we learned that emotional state determines everything. All your decisions, your mood, your constructivity, your objectivity, everything. It determines the quality of your life, the quality of your decisions, the quality of your relationships, the quality of your health, wealth, love, happiness, the quality of everything. And whatever state you are in determines the whole outcome and result, right? Right. We've learned that, now you know that. what was the cornerstone of the whole emotional state? And the word itself is in the name, right? Emotions. So our emotions are very important. What are the emotions? Remember, what is the emotion? Emotion is energy, E, and motion, your physiology, the way you move your body, the way you express yourself, and your energy. So energy is the foundation of your emotional state, and your emotional state is foundations of all of your decisions, results, and your vision in future, vision on your life. So therefore, we definitely want to keep this energy up in whatever self-selected group we are in and part of. If we want to have this energy at our home, we want to have this energy with our friends, and we want to have this kind of energy within our company, in our company. So therefore, we have to look that quality into those people we try to invite in our selected group. Energy, those people will bring us energy. And here, I want to kind of, give you this example of mine, and you probably should talk to people who used to work and working with me right now to tell that story, but for this example's sake, I'm still going to be talking kind of about myself. But it is not to brag about anything, guys, it's just to give you an example how energy can help others out. So as I knew that energy is important, I was always and every single day practicing to actually produce as much as energy, as much as possible of those energies. Energy for myself and energy for others. So before I would come into my office, into my company, I would just energize myself with any kind of different, rituals and habits what I have, which I do in the morning. And then I come into the office and I am just basically producing this huge amount of energy by my motion, by the way I move my body, by my words, by having the smile on my face, and so on and so on. And a lot of times, guys, when I would come into the office, I would see a lot of different people who would look confused. They would have a little sadness or upsetness in their faces and things like that. But as soon as I would come into that room, as soon as I would start talking to them, while still expressing this energy with my emotions, with my voice, with my timbre, with my eyes, and everything else, these people, they would just change right away. They would get affected by that energy. They would, this energy is contagious, and they would just, get this energy to themselves, because that energy would rub off on them from me. And that energy would just help the whole company just stand up and be energized and just do their work and get to the outcomes and the results. I compare it to the flower. If you do not put enough water to the flower or some other plant, the plant is probably gonna go dry, gonna dry up and kind of get squishy and got all tired and stuff and be ready to die, right? But if you put enough water and start actually doing it very, frequently, the flower gonna become alive again. It's going to get straight up. It's going to get and start watching towards the sun. It's going to be so beautiful and not juicy, not dried up anymore and things like that. So the flower kind of became alive. That's metaphor I want to use for those people who are getting that energy from others. So if we have more people in the company or in our self-selected group which has more positive energy than those others who don't have energy at all, then we will be able to kind of, spread this energy, and they're gonna get this energy themselves, and they're just gonna, become the beautiful flower who just got a lot of water in them, a lot of juice, a lot of energy, and they're gonna be ready to go. And the whole company is gonna be just, energy producing machine. Okay? So you wanna have people with energy within your company or within your self-selected group. All right? Okay. Let's get to the second quality we wanna look for. And the second one is intelligence. Well, obviously, we want to have smart people around us. Now, why do we want to have smart people around us? Well, it's just because the smart people, they will be able to make decisions, important decisions, for us, for the company, for the group, for friends, for family, based on their knowledge, based on their values, based on their experience, based on the way they are. But how they are in the way the self-selected group is, meaning they are the part of that same selected group as we are. In the case of the company, that's the company. And what all those people share, they share the same values, they share the same rules, standards, results. And by sharing that, they will be able to follow that and make those decisions by following up that pattern which of the group which they're the part of. And if you are the part of that group, that means you can trust these people, and then you can trust them being able to make those decisions the same way you would make them by following up those patterns of the whole group. Right? So that is why that is so important to have those smart people. They will be making decisions. And why else and how else it will benefit you? Well, as you know, as we have went through the process of actually making decision, we might say at some point the process of making decision is pretty time consuming. It can be time consuming. It's not always like that, but it can. And second of all, it's energy consuming. So you actually, use up a lot of energy of making those decisions, and you never will be able to make all those decisions out there. So you gotta have those allies, your partners, your friends who will also be able to make those decisions, and the most important thing, you will be able to trust and should be able to trust them. That's why you want to look for this intelligence. Those intelligent people will be able to supply you with that. How great is that? Makes sense? You following? All right, very good. Let's go and see what's next. The third one, integrity. We want honest people around us. We want people which will do right things no matter what. Why is that important? Well, it's kind of obvious, but from a perspective of being simple or hard, or something complex or something very easy. You see, the honesty brings this simplicity and easiness to the table. Meaning, if we're honest with each other, especially in hard situations, in difficult situations, when we are trying to tackle some kind of issue or the problem, that simplicity and that honesty with each other will make the things easier. And when the things easier, we are more willing to take that step to tackle the problem and solve the problem and find the solution. Why? Because complexity kills all the innovation, kills all the motivation, and make the people fearful. Like on our conscious level, we would like to do something and step into this action. But we get paralyzed because our subconscious mind sees a lot of complexity, and we get overwhelmed just because of that. So complexity kills the whole progress, basically. The progress is being killed by complex things. So that honesty, that integrity, which our members of the self-selected group can bring to us, will actually help you to make all the things super easy. And the easier things are, the more willing we just step in and do them. And as soon as we step in, we already have a way through and we're almost done with them. And we're like all happy and excited. And again, we also get energy out of it because we just have achieved something. Make sense? So you see, not only those kind of qualities, they are important on their own, but they also kind of intersect with each other, overlap with each other, and they complement each other. The same way our steps in this course complement each other, right? All right, beautiful. We just covered 3. We have 2 more to go. What is the fourth? Well, the fourth is loyalty. You want to have loyal people around you. You want to have people who will cover your back no matter what, who will be behind your back no matter what, whether they are with you or without you, and they behave the same way. They never change their behavior just because you are close to them or not. And you want that loyalty, guys, because that loyalty is the cornerstone of the health of the team. And I'm sure you understand that. And as soon as the people loyal to each other and they actually kind of already checked up on each other, they have tested each other by going through different circumstances and being and working in different or coexisting in different environments, they already know what to expect from each other. They trust each other and they understand each other just by saying half a word, and the other person can already kind of feel fill up the rest of the blanks. So that's how tight they are. And this loyalty brings this tightness. This loyalty brings this, easiness as well. And this loyalty actually, makes all the processes easier and more effective and efficient. So loyalty obviously is very important. And last but not least, and I usually say that not last but not least, but it's not least because it's also super important. It's like all of these 5 qualities, as you see, are super important. If you would ask me, I would probably not be able to put them on the scale from 1 to 5, which of them are important. And by the way, this kind of list, what I put right now, and the priorities what I put right now, it's not necessarily which I respect those priorities in the same way. I think all of those qualities are important, and we have to have them, all of us, within us, in order to actually succeed in life. And also we want to strive to look for those qualities in others. All right? Okay, let's get to the 5th one. The 5th one is the complementary. Exactly. You gotta find people and join people into your team which are complementary to your skills, to your weaknesses, I would even say. Just think about it. I have already mentioned before, what is the team? Team is the group of people, but also team is something which is hopefully should be well-rounded, meaning the team is almost something perfect. How the team can be perfect? By combining imperfect people and putting them in position to actually express and use up their signature strengths. And if a signature strength of one person is the weakness of another, then they can balance with each other and create this harmony, right? One person is strong in one set of skills, but weak in another. But if the other person is very strong in that skill of sets of skill which that person have weakness in, but that person can cover it with the strengths, then the whole team kind of becomes the whole, and the whole team is unbeatable. The whole team does not have this weak link because all the weaknesses are being covered by someone else within the team. Make sense? They say the team is as strong as the strong is the weakest link. So if we put the people in the team who can cover each other's weaknesses with their strengths, we're going to eliminate this weakest link, and the whole team will be the strongest as ever. Makes sense? And if you think about it, it also applies to anything in life. And all these qualities, by the way, not only this last one, we can apply it in our daily life, daily routines. Because I have made, a lot of different examples out of kind of business life and the companies, guys. And you're probably thinking, well, Igor is probably talking about this hiring process and the process where we need to look, for those qualities in people, but we cannot use it in our daily life, in our family, in our friends, and other self-selected groups. And if you think so, no way. You are wrong, because those 5 qualities, we should strive to look for them in the people who are also our family, also our friends, also our team members on our, playing soccer field or playing some other different games, not only in business. And let's see and go through some of the examples of how can you actually use those same qualities in your life, which is not related to your company, which is not related to your business, although the company and the business and your job takes up the huge chunk out of your life, that, and it is the huge part of your life, so therefore it's still very useful to use those qualities there. But let's take on the other take a look at the other core pillars of our life and how and where can we use these qualities. Well, in relationships, do you want to get into a relationship with the person who is honest with you? Obviously. Do you want to get into relationships with the intellectual person who is smart? Of course. Do you want to get into relationships with the person who has huge energy? Obviously. Do you want to get in relationships with the person who is loyal? Of course. And who is actually complementary to you, meaning they can cover your weaknesses? Obviously. As a matter of fact, they say if you want to find the partner, the person you want to, connect your life with for the very long period of time, you would rather find something who is different and not the same as you. That cliche, they say, hey, you're going to find someone which is completely identical to you. I think it's not truth, because if you're identical to each other and you are the same, you have the same strengths and the same weaknesses, and therefore you're going to build the team who will have this weak spot which is not covered by any member of your team, which is your partner, with you and your partner, right? And if you don't cover that weakness, that weakest link will become the weakness of your whole team, and therefore you would not be able to sustain the strong relationships in between yourself. But if you complement each other and both of you, or the bigger, kind of team, doesn't matter how many people is in the team, if you will be able to cover, in this case, relationships, two people, right? If you will be able to cover each other's weaknesses and therefore kind of fill out those gaps, possible gaps in between your relationships, then you're going to create this very strong whole piece of something, of your relationships, of your life, which you will not be able to break. And any difficulties, issues, turbulences in your life will kind of, bounce off of that union, and you will be truly creating that union, of course, not only just, strong relationships. So that's how we can, use these qualities in actually selecting those people we want to get into relationships with. Select those people whom we want to get into the friendship kind of relationships with. Select our team members, select our team at our company, and so on and so on and so on. So please use all of those 5 qualities in all the main and core pillars of your dream life and apply them there, and look for people who have in possession all these qualities, not some of them, but all, because they complement each other. And if you're going to get one out, that person might become not that stable, not that rounded, and the one you want to be joining your team. Make sense? I hope it does, guys. We just covered this first part of this step, those 5 major qualities we have to look for in someone before we want to join them into our team, because that is how the strongest teams ever has been built around the world. And all those qualities are the ones the most successful people in the world use to build their teams, and their teams have proven, in the outcomes and results of theirs, that is working, and those qualities put together create truly strongest teams ever. All right? Okay, wonderful. Let's get to the second part of this presentation, of this step. And the second part is the 2 ways now of how to recognize those qualities, how to determine whether the person has those qualities, and how to find people like that with all those qualities, right? And again, I'm going to be introducing you to something which is already being used by all those successful people out there, like Tony Robbins, Charlie Munger, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos in their companies, in their huge companies, in their successful companies. And though they all share this things which are in common, they all use them, and I'm introducing you to them today. So I hope you are thrilled and excited, because you are literally learning those things from those titans out there. Okay? All right, let's get to those 2 ways. The first one is the way of Charlie Munger, and I learned it from him, and obviously already kind of familiar with that method, but bear with me. I'm gonna maybe show you today with the different perspective of how you look on that thing. So he called this method the method of getting a reference. So basically what he says and what his vision is, that interviewing people is the useless process. He doesn't want to interview people. He doesn't want to meet with people. He does not do that. But he has the best people joined his team, and there's best people actually making his companies and companies of Warren Buffett's the most successful companies in the world by doing business and by expanding and building even stronger teams. So what is so special about them? Well, they were invited into the team through the process of going and getting references about these people from others. So Charlie Munger says, if you're gonna go and pursue the interviews with people, you might end up hiring someone who is very good at interviewing, but not that good into those skills and skill set which you're actually looking for that person to perform when joining your team. And if you look at this that way and you think about it, it kind of makes sense, right? If the person goes to the interviews very often or often enough, the person will create and develop that skills of how to behave on the interviews, what to say and how to say, what kind of thing to say, and make sure always right things to say. So other side would just, see you as the perfect fit. But the only thing what they see is your behavior during that particular interview. It doesn't give you the whole picture. Is hard to read you within those couple of hours of that interview. So, Charlie Munger's, kind of suggest skip the interviews. Don't waste that time on the interviews. Instead, get as many references as possible about that particular person you are trying to evaluate. And obviously, don't ask that same person, to give you the contacts of everyone who might get the reference from. Why? It's because the person, most probably in majority of cases, will give you those who will only say good things about that person. But you want to say and you want to hear honest thing from all the different types of people the person spends the most time with. You basically want to do what you basically want to do is to dig into those self-selected groups that person is coming from and that person is part of, and you want to meet or talk to as many people as possible from that self-selected group to understand what kind of person that person is whom you are trying to invite into your team. Make sense? And by doing that, you actually get these two huge benefits. First of all, you're going to learn about that person a lot because you're going to meet their friends, you're going to meet their colleagues, maybe sometimes you're going to meet their families, you're going to meet some strangers maybe who had interaction with their person, and they can also say their experience and talk about their experiences with that person and define and describe that person. So you're going to have so much information about that person from different perspectives. That is the first benefit. The second benefit, by seeing those people or talking to those people, you will be able to read them, and you're going to be able to actually extract as much criteria out of those people as possible to actually understand and describe that self-selected group that person is coming from. And then what you're going to be able to do, you're going to be able to take that criteria which you have described and defined out of those words of those people you met with and talked with, and you will be matching that criteria to the criteria of your selected group you want to invite that person in. In my example of your company, your self-selected group is the company you're trying to get this person in, right? So now you got the criteria out of those people who gave you the reference, and now you can match the criteria to your company. You can understand, does it match or not? And then you can make a decision maybe when you want to meet with the person yourself and kind of, cover some other extra questions. So that is how and basically going through that process, what do? You define as much criteria, you define as many qualities of the person which you can possibly define, and you match them to all the rules and values and ideology which you have within your group, which is the company. And if they match, most probably the person will get and stick with you for the long term because they are on the same path, they are on the same page, as they call it. Make sense? Beautiful. By the way, guys, I just want to make sure it's not necessarily, but you have to adopt that same and specific way of how to do things. I am just introducing you to those most successful people out there and their methods. If you think their methods will not work for you completely, just try to see some things, some golden nuggets, extract those golden nuggets out of those things I'm introducing you today, and see what you can implement and adapt to your existing processes, or how you can build your new ones by using these experiences of those beautiful and successful people out there. All right? Okay. Wonderful. Let's get to another step. The second thing, the second way of how to determine those people, how to find those people with those beautiful 5 major qualities we just went around. And that way is interviewing, right? So this is a different opinion, this is different way, but special kind of way of interviewing. And I love this example of this private equity fund here in the United States. It's one of the biggest private equity funds in America here. And what they do is they go through the interviews, but they go through 27 interviews within the period of time equals to 1 year. Yes, you heard me right. From first interaction with the person which they try to hire, they actually then spend the whole year and 27 different interviews and occasions and meetings with that person in order to make their decision they want to work with that person or not. Imagine that. What does it say about that company? That company knows what the power of self-selected groups mean and how important and determinational that power is, and how important it is to actually understand and interact with the person within different circumstances, within different environments, and that is how they will extract those different criterias which that person actually can express while going through those 27 different experiences with them. Because otherwise, if you're just going to invite to the interview the person where the person gets used to this environment, meaning sitting in just meeting room and talking to you, the person will actually might play the role of someone else, not of themselves. But if you're gonna go and get them through the 27 different occasions, different environments, circumstances, people, that person will show you everything what they got from all the different angles, and you're gonna have the full picture of the avatar of that person, of the profile of the person, and then you're going to be able to make a decision. And again, that criteria is going to be what? It's going to be the criteria you're going to be matching against and or with your criteria, or criteria of self-selected group you're trying to, figure it out whether you want to join the person to or not. How great is that? And by the way, the fun fact, in the very 27th interview, they actually invite the person into the restaurant, and even there, they evaluate the person and they keep counting how many times the person said thank you and whom the person said this thank you to within this interaction with different people in the restaurant, with the butler, with the barman, with the waitress, and all the different peoples out there. And they see, how they behave. They see how many thank you did they say. From one perspective, it's super crazy, right? But from another, they put this person on the spot. They challenge the person. They put them in a different masterminds of theirs. They invite them to their team building events. They invite them into different meetings with the different set and group of people. So they basically put these people out of comfort zone every single time. And that's where the person can express their true self, the true self. And then you see that true self, you kind of download and extract this true criteria of the person, true qualities, and then you compare them to the criteria of your self-selected group and to those qualities, those 5 major ones which you're looking for. And you're going to be better off actually figuring that out through that kind of process. Great? Again, I want to repeat, guys, I'm not saying now that you gotta go through this type of activities. I'm not saying you gotta go through these 27 different interviews and you have to now restructure the whole hiring process in your company. I'm not saying you gotta, do it, for the whole year straight, but adopt this strategy. Try to figure it out how can you improve your process based on these experiences, based on this knowledge what you have now. And that knowledge, again, it's not only comes from me, it comes from all those successful people out there, people like Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett, Tony Robbins, and others. And they are successful in their field, and they all work with people, they build teams, they are experts in that. So we might as well listen a little bit to them and kind of, extract those golden nuggets and apply them to our process and the things which we are working with. Do you agree with me? Yes, all right, perfect. Now, again, I was kind of making those examples about the companies and how you can adapt it to your business and stuff. Let's apply it to our other life, which is our friends, our family, other different groups of self-selected groups, of self-selected people, right? Okay, so what about friendships? What about the person whom you're starting to date? Well, what it says is there's two ways. What they say is, well, first of all, you kind of want to get some references about the person. And how you can get them? Well, by meeting people whom this person are interacting with. And just without, looking like an investigator, like you're trying to investigate that particular person, don't scare people off. Just ask them questions about their person. Ask them about their past. Ask what those people think about them. Meet with their parents if they introduce you to those to their parents. Meet with their friends, with their colleagues, and just sometimes randomly ask those questions. The answers you will hear will make you understand whether that person, have all those different qualities you want them to have in order to build truly, honest and strong relationships. And you would be better off by knowing a little bit more about that person, right? That first way how you can actually extract that knowledge and use that in your private life. The same way with that friendship, or maybe becoming the partners with someone whom you just started to date. Maybe it's not a good idea to marry them within a couple of weeks, right? Because you will not be able within this short period of time to go through those so many different circumstances, environments, and situations where you will be able to extract all the possible criteria about their person and understand and learn all those qualities that person has in possession with. So you have a little bit more time to spend with them, right? That is the second way, the way of 27 interviews. You gotta go through these 27 different occasions, not interviews in case of your partner or the person you date, right? You gotta go through these 27 different situations with them and learn. So that might be like half a year or a year you gotta spend with them in order to truly, make this important decisions in your life, whether you want to continue to actually go with that path with them, or you would be rather looking for someone else who kind of a little bit more aligned with you, who complements you, and who has all those beautiful and 5 major qualities in them to truly build the strongest relationships ever, which is probably one of your dreams, right? And by the way, guys, I bet some of you kind of feeling a little bit confused and overwhelmed with these technicalities, meaning, oh my god, now I even have to choose my partner by make an Excel file or something like it. And I understand why you might think so, and I understand with a lot of us sometimes, and pretty often actually, kind of following our gut feeling. We feel we love that person, we just all blindfolded, and we just want to go with it, and we're gonna risk the whole thing. But that is the thing, we are risking with a little too much, guys. Because we have already proven to ourselves with the facts, with the experiences of other people out there, that relationships and the groups we are part of determine our success, literally determine how successful we're going to be in life, how high of the quality of life we're going to be able to build, and whether we're going to be able to build the dream life of ours at all. So if that important, if that impactful, wouldn't it be great to have some kind of system and framework? And by the way, that is the framework of how to actually interact with people and understand them better and measure and evaluate their qualities. Wouldn't it be worth it just to do it a little bit on the side, just to double check and make sure you're making this right choice and right decision? Well, in my opinion, it would, and I suggest you to do it. Okay, don't get crazy with it. Don't put this in Excel file and then invite that person and actually show that Excel file and go with them and interrogate them or something. No, I am not suggesting you that, but I'm suggesting you on the background, on your subconscious level, learn those skills, learn and understand and put those descriptions of those wonderful qualities in your head, and make sure your subconscious, on the subconscious level, even without your control, filter out all your interactions with all the people and actually trying to scan those people out on the subject of those 5 major qualities within them. And then you decide, you make decision. You still can make decision to stick with that person and go along with that person, and that is okay. At least you doing it consciously by knowing what you might wait ahead of you, what kind of difficulties you might meet on the way of going with them forward, just because you know what kind of qualities they have in possession and what kind of qualities they are missing. Make sense? All right. Beautiful. With that, I think we have covered everything which I wanted to cover in this second part of this step. Remember, I said we're going to have 3 parts. The first part is all about these 5 major qualities. We just covered that. The second part is 2 ways of how to actually find these qualities and find these people with these qualities. We have just covered that. And now we're going to be going and opening up this last and third part of this step, where I'm going to share with you, a little bit more of hints and tricks and those golden nuggets and secrets of all those successful people which they use to truly build the strongest ever teams around themselves. Okay, let's just dive into it. Let's get to this third part. The first thing what I want to talk about is that what I call 20% of the weirdness factor of craziness, 20% of weirdness or craziness. So what I have figured out, then I learned all and studied all those successful people, the people who build beautiful teams. What they do is they actually try to look whether the person whom they are talking to and try to invite in their social circle, that person is too much crazy, too much of the weirdness going on around that person. And they have this rule of 20%. If out of all those qualities the person has within him or her, if 20% of those qualities or less is that little bit of weirdness and craziness, then that is okay. They probably are ready to put up with that. But as soon as the person is a little too crazy, a little too overwhelming, a little bit too weird than 20%, then they will probably not going to invite and join and let that person join their inner circle, their social circle, any of their self-selected groups. Why is that? Well, it's just because those crazy or overwhelmed, and by the way, a little bit, we all have this a little bit of craziness and weirdness going on with ourselves, right? Just think about yourself. Aren't you a little bit crazy? Aren't you a little bit weird? I'm sure I know I am, but and it is okay. But if it's a little bit more than 20% out of all the other qualities you're supposed to have to be a good team player and bring the added value to your team, then it might be a little bit too difficult to actually work, interact, and coexist with you. Why? It's just because those weird and crazy people, they usually super insecure, they are unbalanced, they are too competitive. Sometimes they become so jealous of other people's achievements, they might become even mad and angry at you because of that and at themselves, and they can be, they can get out of control. At the same time, there's people kind of drama people. Everything is drama for them. They are super stressful and anxious and all the time kind of nervous about everything which is happening around. And they are so competitive and jealous of you that very often they will be able to overstep over you, kind of step on you, on your shoulders, on your head, just to get ahead of you, without even thinking of your feelings, of everything what you've done for them. Those are kind of people are dangerous because they basically gonna bring that craziness into your team, and that is very contagious, and that will break up your team in pieces, and the person might affect very negatively the whole environment. So that's why all those successful people out there, they try to measure this craziness and weirdness factor. Now you're probably gonna ask me, hey, how would we measure that? Do you have the formula? Well, guys, no, there is no formula. You just have to go with your gut feeling here and a little bit common sense. If the person you're trying to interact with and you're trying to, to join to your team, if you feel that person a little too weird, a little too crazy for you, it probably, that's how it is. And that you will be better off without that person, rather than to invite that person into your family, into your self-selected group. Because as I said, the person will bring chaos into your group, the uncertainty, this craziness, and gonna probably poison the whole environment of your group. Okay? So that is very important. That was the first thing. The second thing which you have to look for, you have to look for the patterns of people, patterns of the groups. And I've been talking about the parents, my parents, of course, and I've been talking about those patterns during my last step, during this last steps we took with you together. What was important about the patterns? Remember, I talked about my family, and I have described the patterns we were living with, and the patterns were related to our our feelings and our behavior around education and money. We did not care about education. We didn't think the studying is an important thing. We didn't think we need that. We only were, earning money, but then we were just spending every single penny out of that money. We would not, save or multiply that money. That was kind of the pattern. And then we also have discussed with you what would be the opposite pattern of the family, who would do the opposite thing. And we figure out what the opposite thing would do is to respect the education, to actually try to learn as much as we can, become the learning machine, and actually study a lot of subjects, a lot of things, and be, very fluent in various things in our life. And we have also mentioned it in one of our steps where we learned about the deserving factor, right? The worth the damn factors and things like that. So we know it is like hugely and very important, right? And on the other hand, we probably also would, if that would be the opposite family with the opposite patterns of the behavior, they probably would not only earn money, but they would also save money, and they also multiply money, right? So if you are able to recognize those patterns, you're going to be better off, because you will be able to pick the people who are from those self-selected groups, which patterns you respect, which patterns you want to follow, right? And by the way, when I'm talking about those groups, I like to call them poor people and rich people. And by the way, here I just want to make sure we are on the same page with you guys. When I say poor people and rich people, I'm not only saying about money, and that applies to everything which I said in a couple of previous steps, because I kind of pounded on the table that self-selected group determines that poverty, meaning, and I was saying that poor people stay poor and richer getting richer. Don't get me wrong, I'm not only talking about money here and financial situation, financial freedom of those people, financial independence. Although I also talk about that, but also I talk about their mentality, I talk about their physiology, I talk about their psychology, I talk about their success in different and various areas of their life, about their health, wealth, love, and happiness. So people who are successful in all those areas of your life, I call them rich. The people who are not successful in that, I call them poor. Another analogy, remember we built with you this wheel of life. So the poor people, in my understanding of poor people, the poor people will have this shrinked, very narrow kind of wheel of life, meaning the core pillars of their life would not be developed a lot at all. On the scale from 1 to 10, they would have like 2 to 4, 2 to 5 at most. And at the same time, they would not be, smooth. They would not be equally developed. They would be like all chaotic and random. And that's how the wheel of life of that group of poor people would look like. How about the rich people? The rich people probably would have this very smooth wheel of life, and they would probably have it on a scale from 7 to 8, maybe 7 to 9. So they have the very well-rounded and successful life. So that group of people I call rich. Why would I, touch upon the topic right now? It's just because I want to talk to you and cover a little bit of the patterns of these different groups. And I want you to adopt the patterns of rich people. I want to make sure the groups of those rich people, the people from the rich groups, you would invite into your self-selected group, because their skills, their ideologies, their values, their experiences, their vision of life will rub off on you, and you would rather rub off on those things which come from the patterns of being rich, not of the parents to being poor. Okay? Got it? On the same page now? Beautiful. Let's go through and see what the poor people do or don't do, or what the rich people do or don't do. So what rich people do is they quote a lot. They quote and mention other people, and they never ever put, their strong opinion and push it on you. Have you ever met people who just so sure in what they're talking about and they think this is the only right opinion out there and they just try to push that opinion on you? And if you're trying to kind of discuss that opinion with them and get into the discussion and the brainstorming around it, kind of showing that you want to take a look at other different opinions out there and maybe then make a decision, these people most likely will become even mad at you, angry at you, that you do not support and accept their opinion. Those are the poor people. Rich people will look and hear out different kind of opinions, and then they have their own opinion. By expressing that, they will also mention opinion of others. They will not be afraid to say that that is actually not their own idea. They borrowed that idea from someone else, and now they shared this idea to you. So that's how humble they are, I would even say, right? So again, we have this parallel, we have this, comparison with this beautiful intangible skill, humility, which we have talked about with you in one of our steps, right? So that is very important. Rich people, they do not push their opinions on you. Another thing what rich people good at, the rich people good at math. They, like calculate. Remember, calculated decisions. You're gonna be rich from all the different perspectives of your life, right? Not only money, but also the money to actually love the math, because you need to, put all the different numbers together. And what that does with these people, they learn different patterns and different behaviors and different frameworks of how to use math or anything else to do what? To make those things tangible. Remember, we want to be able to touch up and make those things tangible in order to create the decisions around them. So rich people usually good in math and good in their process of making things tangible, and then they can make very easy, simple and quick and right decisions around them. And I know a lot of people like that. I know one of my buddies, one of my favorite buddies in the world, he's super rich with all the other possible different and core pillars of his dream life, which probably is very similar and very familiar to us as well, like health, wealth, love, happiness, fulfillment, relationships, right? He cares about that truly. And if you talk with that person, you understand how sharp he is, because he knows math, he plays chess, he knows what this calculation things are. He can calculate different kind of budgets, revenues, understand profits. He can make calculated decisions, and on and on and on and on. So rich people, they know math. Poor people, they cannot even calculate sometimes. They cannot divide, 72 by 8. They cannot multiply 10 by 10 or something like it. They cannot obviously count their money and understand whether they actually have enough money to cover all expenses and things like that. So you gotta be good at math to be rich. So look for the people like that who are good at math. Most probably they come from the rich kind of group, the group with the rich patterns of behavior. Okay? Beautiful. Next, the third thing. Rich people, what they do, they love to ask questions, and we have also touched up on the topic in this step where we'll be talking about the humility, being humble. One of the qualities to being humble, right, is to ask questions. But not only they ask questions, but they legitimately, they sincerely, they are interested in the answer. They're not asking you questions just for question's sake and be polite or be smart or something like it. They truly and genuinely, they understand they need those answers, because they understand and accept that they are not perfect. They have the room for improvement. They want to grow. They want to improve themselves. They want to be better every single day, and therefore they legitimately find the people and they ask the questions and they get the answers, and then they are better off with those answers, and those answers help them to make better decisions and then take better actions and then get to the better outcomes and results what they want out of their life. Make sense? I hope it does. So that is why it's very important to look for these kind of rich people, because they're going to bring all these goodies, this beautiful behavior of theirs into your social circle. Make sense? All right, beautiful. Now, what poor people do, what rich people don't do? Well, the poor people actually, they are coming up with all the different reasons and excuses which are outside of their own world, which are out there which are external in order to explain any outcome of all the results which they've gotten, or they've gotten on their own, or they've gotten together with you. Meaning they come up with excuses and reasons which are external. They never look at themselves and first ask themselves the question, maybe they are the problem, maybe they are the chokehold, as I call, on that thing which is not happening, and maybe they have to change themselves first. And that's what they don't do. That's the poor people. The rich people, they do completely opposite. They actually put themselves in a position where everything is their fault. Yes, that's right, guys. And I would even say, I'm about to introduce you to something which is so important and so beneficial. It's going to be so beneficial to you that if anything else what I say during this step you don't like or you don't understand, but you will get this thing, it's going to be worth your time you invest in this step. Only that thing what I'm about to say. So I will repeat. All rich people, they look at their life and the things which they are involved in, and if something happening around those things, they think and they know and they put themselves in front of that thought that that's all their fault. Why do they do that? It's just because if that's their fault, they get into the control, because now they control the thing and they now ready to change that, because you cannot change something you cannot control. That's why poor people cannot change anything, because they come up with excuses and reasons which are out of their control, which are external. But what are internal? It's yourself. You first have to change yourself, and rich people understand that. That's why they say, it's my fault. I gotta now understand, what did I do wrong? Or what can I do better? Or how can I train those people better in order together we do not make such a mistake if we just made a mistake. You know that difference? You understand that difference? Just understand that mentality. Understand that, perception of life. Anything which happening around you where you are being a part of is all your fault. You taking the whole responsibility. It's from one perspective, it's kind of a little scary, but from another, it makes you focus, because now if that's your responsibility, you are fully engaged and you are able to change now that situation by actually making those changes, because you now responsible for that. How great is that? So those rich people, they first try to find answers within themselves, and they can control that. So they change themselves, they improve themselves, and that's how they are able to solve anything, and they find the solutions right away, and they do not look and concentrate and focus on a problem or issue. They just get to the solution right away, because they know it's there, it's right here, it's in their mind, it's in their heads, it's on them. It's not somewhere out there, as external thing. And that is very important. What the poor people do, well, they are very sensitive to the feedback, sensitive to the criticism which is coming towards them. Because again, that's related to that, strong opinions of theirs, what they have. They think that their opinion is the only one, and the only one which is right opinion, and everyone should accept it. And if someone gives feedback or criticize you, they give a little different and slightly different opinion, slightly different view on life. And you don't like that, because you have this too much of the strong of the opinion and eager on you, and you do not want to accept that. It makes you angry and mad and makes you poor. The rich people do completely opposite. They want feedback, they want the criticism, because they know it will shape them, it will make them stronger, it will make them grow, and with the growth they're gonna get this beautiful feeling of fulfillment and happiness, because anything which growing is evolving and getting better. So feedback and criticism, it's basically fuel to be happy and fulfilled. And if you put it that way, you just want that feedback, you just want the criticism, because it will help you out, it will pull you up, it will lift you up. Poor people don't understand that, and they don't pursue that. All right? So that is how important, guys, to distinguish in between these two groups, because whatever you're going to be a part of, the one or another will again determine your success, and that group will equally rub off on you. So you would rather stick to the rich people and try to find those rich people within your very close and tight circle. Sounds good? Okay, beautiful. That was the second thing in this third part of this step. What was the third thing? Well, the third thing is the rule of 10%. You see, what I learned from all those successful people is that if you learn from someone and you're trying to basically emulate someone, model someone, and copy them, you still will be able to achieve only 10% of their success. That is why it's called 10% rule. Now let's take a look at this and understand why is that so. Well, it has to do with something which I call the specifics, meaning the person you're trying to copy, the person you try to emulate, your person they're trying to learn from, the person still have a lot of different specifics. In some cases, just genetics. Let's say if we're trying to look at the person and follow the person who is exercising and who is very great at the fitness, his fat or her fitness level is beautiful and a high level, we're trying to adopt all the strategies and everything what the person does. If that person have something genetically different which help them to actually do that on that level, we probably not going to be able to get on that level as they are, because we are different genetically, right? So there are a lot of different such things as genetics and other things specific to that person and their situation and their companies that it's not possible to actually, copy for them for 100% and repeat their success for 100%. Only for 10, and the rest 90 will be your speciality, will be your specifics, will be your differentiation, okay? So if that is true, and it is, now let me make you this example. Let's say you want to get wealthier, you want to get more financially free, financially independent, you want to start earning more money. You have these two choices, right? You can learn from the person who've earned the $1 million once. Right? They have this experience of how to earn $1 million. But you have another choice, to learn from the person who earned $10 million, that has an experience and knows how to earn $10 million. Now, if we're going to apply the 10% rule, that means that we're going to be able to learn from them enough to actually succeed only for 10% of their success. Let's multiply it by the money what they make, and we're going to get such results. From the person who only knows how to earn 1 million, we're going to probably learning how to earn 100,000, 10% of 1 million, right? But from the person who knows how to earn 10 millions, we're going to be learning 10%, and that's going to be 1 million. Now, we got to spend same amount of time learning from those different people. Only from one person, we're going to be learning how to actually earn $100,000, and from another, we're going to be able to learn how to earn $1 million. Which way we're going to go? Well, obviously this way, where we're gonna, learn a lot more. So that is the third thing I want you to remember. Try to invite into your tribes, into your self-selected groups, into your company, into your family, into your friends community, people, very strong people. The people who you will be learning from the most, and whom you will be learning in a way those 10% is going to be the maximum you can ever get in the world. Try to, invite those best out there in their niches, and try to invite and make sure you cover all your main and core pillars of your dream life which you have created for yourself, to cover all those pillars and invite all those best people to help you to actually succeed within all those, main pillars of your dream life. And you're going to be better off just because of that 10% rule. Make sense? All right, beautiful. That was the third thing in this third part of this particular step. All right, we're going to be wrapping up this step pretty soon, guys. In the end of this third part, though, I want to quote Charlie Munger. He says this. He says, you want to be the smartest in the room full of idiots. And it's pretty cool quote, right? And by the way, he's talking only about the competition and about the business and companies, or the spirit of competition. Obviously, that rule does not apply for the case where you want to learn. If you want to learn and you want to make sure other people's skills rub off on you, you would rather be in the room where you are not the smartest person, because if you're smartest in that room, you will not be be able to learn. So you got to put yourself in the room where the smartest people are, the people who are smarter than you, who can complement you, right? And whom you can learn from. I'm not talking about that now. I'm talking about the situation where you compete with someone, and you want to outcompete them. You want to win this one of the battles of your life, right? So you want to be on the side of the team who will enter the room and will be the smartest people in the room, and you will be able to compete with idiots. And obviously it is easy and very simple to compete with idiots, but you only will be able to compete with idiots when you have all the smart people on your side. This is the condition. You can be in the room with all the smart people who are competing with the idiots, but don't be in the room when you are on the side of idiots. You gotta be on the side of those all smart people, and for that you're gonna know how to build the team. For that you're gonna know how to understand and read their personality types. For that you need to understand what the 5 major qualities look for in those people. For that you are gonna understand the ways how to actually find and search and look for those people. And that is why we are going through all those 3 different steps of how to create those trench mates around you, how to connect with people on a deeper level. Only for that and only reason. As a result, you will be able, first of all, accelerate your success. But if you will need to compete, you will always have that team of smartest people behind you, and you will be left off with competition, where you're going to be competing with idiots, which is going to be easy, and you're going to be predicting your success every single time you're going to be competing against them. How great is that? Great? Okay, beautiful. Now, let's conclude this step. As I said, I probably dropped a lot of technicalities on you, a lot of different descriptions, and a lot of different context, and maybe a little bit less of stories of mine or stories of others. But as I said, when thing is important, and that might literally, change and impact the quality of our life, we might as well to go sometimes through the boring stuff, but we make sure we learn that, and we, kind of then load it into our subconscious, and make sure subconscious work with it and use it and help us out to make better decisions out there and make and create better and successful teams. All right? Okay, let's conclude what we learned. Well, we learned today the 5 major qualities which we have to look into the people which we want to create the team out of, right? That was the first thing we did. And those 5 things were as follows. We have to look for energy, for the intelligence, we got to look for integrity, we got to look for loyalty, and we got to look for complementary. Those were those 5 things, right? The next what we learned is how to actually find people with this kind of qualities, and we went through 2 different examples. One is by actually getting references about those people from a lot of different other peoples which are not referred, but that same person we're trying to figure it out, everything about. And second of all, we learned that we had to go through that long, process and put ourselves in different circumstances with those people we're trying to actually join and invite to our self-selected groups. Before we invite them, we got to go through that process of actually, working with them and going through different kind of circumstances and being with that person in different kind of environments in order to get to know the person better. All right, and that was the second one, and we kind of applied that with some of examples, not only to the companies and businesses and teams within the company, but we also applied it for our relationships, for building our, love life in other different cases like that. Okay? All right, beautiful. Next thing we have figured out, we have learned this 20% craziness and weirdness factor. And we have to factor it into our process when we actually look for people whom we want to get into our team. Okay? All right. The next thing what we learned is we gotta look for the patterns in the groups. And we gotta select those, groups of people who are rich people, and we have to probably ignore and spend as less time as possible with the poor people, because they have all those different qualities which you do not want to adopt, and those qualities should not be rubbed off on us, right? All right, beautiful. And the last but not least, we have learned that it is super important to keep in mind, but there is this 10% rule, and we're only going to be able to learn something from someone on the scale to 10%. 10% we're going to get smarter out of that particular person and kind of suck out all the knowledge on the level of 10%. So if we want to make sure this 10% are as significant as they can be, we gotta find the best out there in their niches, in their industries, in their field, in order for us to actually succeed in all the major core pillars of our dream life. And we have to strive for that. And last but not least, we want to be, if we want to compete with someone in a room with the smartest people out there, and we want to fight against the idiots. Because it's easy fight, it's predictable fight, and we're going to be better off because of that. Sounds good? All right, and I don't want to offend anyone. I don't want to call anyone idiots. This is only metaphoric kind of explanation of mine for you to grasp the material, guys. I just wanted to make sure we all understand that. Okay? All right, I hope it was useful. I hope you liked it, and I hope you actually learned some of those beautiful secrets of all those successful people, and now you became even stronger, even more knowledgeable, and now you're going to apply that knowledge in order to build this beautiful social circle around you. This circle which will help you, this shield which will always protect you and never betray you and kind of pull you up and lift you up all the time. Now let's get to the homework. Obviously, we gotta go through the homework. We gotta start applying what we learned. We gotta implement it into our life in order our life to get the better quality. What is the homework? Well, let's talk about those 5 major qualities. Put the list of all the people who are now the part and playing a huge role in your life, and who are around you, and who are participating in those self-selected groups you are part of. And now try to run those people through all those 5 qualities and see who of those people has those 5 qualities, who has all of them, and who has not have all of them, right? And now figure out how important is that for them to have it, and what kind of experience do you have so far with all those people, and how do they affect your life. And then decide for yourself whether you want to do something about it or not. But it's very important for you to go through the process and actually evaluate all those people around your life and see what kind of qualities, and if all they have in possession out of this beautiful 5 major qualities we all learned about today. Okay? This is your first task. The second task for you is to adapt at least something out of those 2 ways of how you will be able to find the people with this kind of qualities. And we went with you this, through these 2 ways, and I have, made you some of the examples of those successful people, how they do that. Now decide what kind of things you want to adapt and how you're going to improve your process, whether it's HR process within your business or company, whether it's a process of how do you actually select your partner, select your date, select your friends, and so on, and build this self-selected group. Okay, try to figure it out. What will you adapt? What did you learn out of that particular thing, and how you will apply and implement it into your life. All right. The third thing which I want you to do is I want to understand and kind of evaluate and run all those close people around you from this 20% craziness factor, and see how many a little too weird people you have around yourself, and then decide what you want to do about it. Maybe you want to start spending a little less time with them and start spending a little bit more time with other group of people who are not that crazy or weird. And we already defined what the crazy and weird people mean, right? This is the third task for you. The fourth task for you, obviously, is understand who are those people around you, whether they come from the poor people group or they come from the rich people group. See what kind of patterns of behavior they adopt and they express, and see what you want to do about them. Again, maybe you want to start, kind of divide them into these different groups, and maybe you want to spend a little bit more time with that group or less time with this group, depending on what are your findings are. Okay? That is the fourth task for you. The fifth task for you is to actually evaluate every single core pillar of your dream life, which you put for yourself during this step, which I introduced you to life design and system. Get all those pillars of your life ready as a list, and now try to figure it out whether you have the best people out there who help you succeed in all those main pillars of your dream life on the highest level. Let's say if you want to succeed in health, figure it out whether you have the best trainer out there, right? And maybe you will figure it out and you will understand, but while you actually are able to find someone even better, someone with even more experience, someone even if with more, I don't know, testimonials and credibility out there, and then make this change. Maybe you should fire that existing and current trainers of yours, and you have hired another one who is a lot more experienced, who is a lot higher in this ladder of how they can actually impact you, because you remember that 10%, you're going to be learning from them only on the level of 10%. So you're going to learn from the best. You're going to make sure you have the best people around you. So create that list for every single core pillar and make this decision for every single core pillar of your dream life. What kind of people would you rather be with, in order to actually succeed in all those pillars of your life? And then see whether you want to replace those people or you want to find even better ones in order for you to actually, accelerate your success. Because the better people you will find, the hotter they will be. Remember, we were talking about this temperature. The higher temperature, they're going to be heated on, and therefore they will be able to heat you, and you will be able to kind of grow in more rapid pace. Okay? That was the fifth task for you. And that's probably it. That is for it homework. And with this step, guys, and after going through the homework and doing this homework, guys, we're going to be finishing up in this little chapter within the whole course, where we just learned so many good things in order for us to learn how to interact, in order for us to get on a deeper level with anyone we interact with, in order for us to build this, social circle, this self-selected group around us, those trench mates, which then will help us to actually create something significant in our life, of our life, and we'll be able to accelerate our success. Because no one yet has, created something of significance on his or her own. It always have been done with the team. It took the team. So that's why I took you on this journey, within these 3 different steps we went through to kind of grasp that area of your life and evaluate this area of your life and make sure you have the strongest people out there, the people you can rely on, and the people who will pull you up and lift you up. And by the way, don't forget, you gotta do the same for them. That is two-way street, guys. It's not like only you doing all these things, all these criteria, all this matching and stuff, and making all this decision and inviting all those people out there and trying to get everything out from them. Yes, it is, but at the same time, remember, they're gonna want the same because they are intelligent, they are complementary, they are with a huge level and high level of integrity. They understand those same things, so they will want you to scratch their back. Be ready to scratch their back, because they also will scratch your back at any point of time, because they're going to be loyal to you. Remember that one of the qualities is loyalty. So scratch each other backs, help to each other, complement each other, and create this well-rounded, perfect team, perfect supporting system around yourself out of those imperfect people on their own, and put them in this beautiful system and create the system around yourself, and you're going to be accelerating your success as crazy and as never before, and you're going to be improving quality of your life with the rapid pace. Remember, you gotta change, you gotta make improvements, and you gotta make changes by 35% every single year, and that way you're going to be able to double quality of your life once per 2 years. Every 2 years you're going to be able to double quality of your life. Remember that, and the things which we learned throughout these 3 steps, which we went through recently, they are all based on that, and the goal was to supply you with everything which will help you to do just that, which will help you to build this beautiful team around you. Okay? All right, I think it's enough out of me today, guys. I'm going to see you at the next step. Meanwhile, please do your homework and train yourself to create the beautiful team around yourself.